In 1946, a starving 12-year-old German boy broke into an American military base to steal bread. The soldier who caught him had every right to arrest him, even shoot him. Instead, he did something that would change both their lives forever. This is the true story of how one act of mercy turned enemies into family. The bread is still warm in Klaus Fischer's hands when the flashlight beam catches him. He freezes in the alley behind the American Supply Depot in Frankfurt, half of a loaf of white bread clutched against his chest like stolen gold. The light blinds him. He cannot see the soldier's face, only the dark outline of an American uniform and the rifle slung across his back. This is it. This is how I die. The soldier steps closer. Klaus's legs will not move. His older brother Heinrich's warning echoes in his mind. They will shoot you for taking so much as an apple. These are the same monsters who bombed our cities, Klaus. They have no mercy. But Klaus's mother has not eaten in 3 days, not since she traded her wedding ring for black market flour. His little sister Greta cries herself to sleep every night, her stomach so empty it has started to swell. What choice did he have? The American says something in English, harsh, guttural sounds Klaus cannot understand. The soldier is maybe 25, with dark hair and tired eyes that seem older than his face. He is walking closer now, one hand reaching out. Klaus braces for the blow. Instead, the soldier's fingers touch the bread gently, almost carefully. He does not rip it away. He does not strike. He just looks at it. Then at Klaus. Then back at the bread. You hungry? The soldier asks in broken, heavily accented German. Klaus nods, because what else can he do? His whole body is shaking from cold, from fear, from the 3 pounds he has lost this month alone. The American does something Klaus will replay in his mind 1,000 times over the next 70 years. He breaks off a piece of the bread, hands it back to Klaus, points to the depot kitchen door. Tomorrow, morning, you come, work. Klaus stares at the bread in his hand, then at the soldier, then back at the bread. It is a trap. They are cruel. They want to humiliate me before they punish me. But the soldier is already walking away, back toward the depot entrance. He stops at the door, turns, and says one more word Klaus will never forget. Promise. Klaus did not know it yet, but that piece of bread would feed him for the next 70 years. Klaus does not go to the depot the next morning. He sits in the corner of their shared room, 3 families crammed into half of a destroyed building in the Norden district, the bread divided into careful portions. A piece for Mama, a piece for Greta, a piece for himself. He chews slowly, making it last, tasting real flour for the first time in months. The other families eye their portions hungrily, but no one asks where it came from. It was a trick. He was mocking me. If I go back, they will be waiting to arrest me. But the bread runs out by evening. Greta is crying again, that weak, exhausted sound of a body giving up. And Klaus cannot stop thinking about the soldier's face. Not angry, not disgusted. Just tired. And maybe sad. Tomorrow, he had said. You come, work. Klaus had been taught to expect monsters. In the junior Hitler, youth boys too young for the main organization, his instructor Herr Vogel had shown them posters plastered on every Frankfurt street corner. Hook-nosed demons in American uniforms, dragging German children away, behind the enemy powers. The Jew. Another showing Giz with the slogan, "They will defile our women, execute our children. This is the price of their Jewish master's revenge." Klaus had believed every word. His father had died in the firebombing of March 1944, crushed under rubble, while Klaus and his family huddled in a shelter 4 blocks away. 11-year-old Klaus had helped identify his body by his wedding ring. His mother moved them to her sister's farm outside Wiesbaden, where they survived the final year eating potato peels and foraged plants. His uncle marched off with the People's Militia in March 1945, a 62-year-old man with a hunting rifle facing American tanks. They never found his body. When the Americans arrived, Klaus had hidden in the root cellar with Greta and his mother, waiting for the screams Herr Vogel promised would come. But the screams never came. Instead, there was quiet, then voices in English. Then his mother emerged to find American soldiers setting up a field hospital in the village square, treating German civilians alongside their own wounded. Klaus had not known what to make of it. They had returned to Frankfurt's ruins in July 1945. Their apartment building was gone, just bricks and twisted metal and memories turned to ash. And the hunger, constant, gnawing hunger that turned food into an obsession, a dream, a fairy tale from the time before. The American Depot had opened in their district in early 1946 warehouses full of food Klaus could smell from blocks away. The scent of real bread, of yeast and butter, things that belonged to his grandmother's kitchen before the war. It drove him mad. He had tried stealing twice before. Once, a British soldier boxed his ears and sent him running. The second time, he had dropped a tin of beans, watching it split open across the cobblestones while he wept with frustration. Last night, he had been so sure he had finally gotten it right, until he had run straight into Private James Crawford of Louisville, Kentucky. Klaus goes the next morning. He approaches the depot from the front this time, in daylight, his heart hammering so hard he thinks it might crack his ribs. The American guard at the gate, a giant with red hair and freckles, looks down at him and says something in English. Klaus stammers. Soldier! Yesterday, he said, work? The guard laughs. Actually laughs, a booming sound that makes Klaus flinch and waves him through. Points toward the kitchen building. They are all in on it. They have been waiting. But when Klaus pushes open the kitchen door, there is only one person inside. The same soldier from last night, standing at a steel counter cutting vegetables with a knife that could split Klaus in half. Private Crawford looks up. His face breaks into a smile, a real smile, reaching his eyes. You came, he says in that broken German. Good boy. Klaus stands rigid in the doorway, ready to run. Crawford sets down the knife carefully, deliberately, where Klaus can see it is no longer in his hand. He walks to a shelf and pulls down an apron, adult-sized. It will drown Klaus, and holds it out. You work, Crawford says, gesturing to the potatoes piled on the counter. You eat. Fair, yes? Klaus does not move. Cannot move. His brain is screaming contradictions. He is setting a trap, but he is smiling. They torture children, but he put down the knife. Americans are monsters, but he fed me yesterday. Crawford sighs. He picks up one of the potatoes, pulls out a peeler, and begins demonstrating in exaggerated slow motion, peel, rinse, cut. Peel, rinse, cut. He slides the peeler across the counter toward Klaus. You try. Show me. Klaus's hands shake as he picks up the peeler. He has peeled thousands of potatoes in his life. It has been the bulk of his diet for 2 years, but under Crawford's gaze, he fumbles. The peeler slips. A thin line of blood wells up on his thumb. He jerks back, expecting punishment for being clumsy, mockery for being weak. Crawford makes a soft sound. Ah, hell, and moves quickly, but not to strike. He grabs a clean cloth, runs it under the tap, and reaches for Klaus's hand. Klaus pulls away instinctively. Crawford stops, holds the cloth out, does not advance further. It is okay, he says softly. Let me see. I help. I help. Not I order. Not you must. I help. Klaus slowly, so slowly, extends his hand. Crawford's touch is gentle as he wraps the cloth around Klaus's thumb, applying just enough pressure to stop the bleeding. His hands are warm, calloused from work, not soft like Klaus expected from Americans. He had been told lived in luxury while Germans starved. There, Crawford says. Okay now, try again, slow, I show you better. He demonstrates again, this time standing beside Klaus, guiding his hands without forcing them. Peel, rinse, cut. Peel, rinse, cut. When Klaus completes his first potato successfully, Crawford pats his shoulder, a brief, firm touch. Good, very good. Klaus blinks back tears. He does not understand. They work in silence for an hour. Crawford does not push conversation, does not ask questions. He just works alongside Klaus, occasionally correcting his technique, once bringing over a stool when he notices Klaus struggling to reach the counter comfortably. At midday, Crawford pulls out 2 plates. He fills both with the stew he has been preparing, thick with meat and vegetables, more food than Klaus has seen in one place since 1944. He sets 1 plate in front of Klaus. They eat together. The meat is unlike anything Klaus remembers. Rich, tender, swimming in gravy that soaks into the bread, Crawford tears from a fresh loaf. Klaus tries to eat slowly, tries to maintain some dignity, but his body betrays him. He is shoveling food into his mouth, sauce dripping down his chin. Crawford does not laugh, does not comment, just slides his own bread across the table so Klaus can mop up the last of the gravy. When Klaus finally looks up, tears streaming down his face from gratitude or shame or confusion, he cannot tell Crawford is watching him with an expression Klaus has never seen directed at him before from an adult who is not his mother. Compassion. "You have family?" Crawford asks carefully. "Mother? Father? Sister? Brother?" "Mother," Klaus whispers. "Sister. Small. 6 years." Crawford nods slowly. Then he stands, walks to the supply closet, and pulls out a canvas bag. He fills it methodically. A loaf of bread, a tin of meat, a jar of preserves, a small sack of flour. Things that would cost a month's rations on the black market. Things worth more than his mother's wedding ring. He holds out the bag. Klaus stares at it. At him. Back at the bag. "Why? Why are you doing this?" "For your family," Crawford says. "You come tomorrow, work again. Every day you work, you take food home, yes?" "Why?" The word comes out before Klaus can stop it, in German. "Warum?" Crawford's face shifts something painful, passing across it like a shadow. He reaches into his pocket and pulls out a photograph, creased and worn. He shows it to Klaus, a woman with dark hair and a boy, maybe 8 years old, both smiling at the camera. "My wife," Crawford says quietly. "My son, Tommy. Same age as your sister when I leave for war." He traces the boy's face with his finger. "I think, if my Tommy is hungry, if he needs to steal food to eat, I hope someone helps him. Someone is kind. Yes?" Klaus takes the bag with trembling hands. "Danke," he whispers. Crawford smiles. "Tomorrow. You come tomorrow." Klaus runs home with the bag clutched to his chest, the weight of it more valuable than gold. But it is not the food that makes him cry as he runs through the ruined streets of Frankfurt. It is the photograph of a little boy named Tommy, and the way Crawford's voice had broken when he had said, "I hope someone is kind." Klaus comes back the next day, and the next, and the next. At first, he is still waiting for the trap to spring. He works quickly, efficiently, barely speaking except to acknowledge instructions. He takes the food Crawford gives him and leaves as soon as he is allowed. He does not ask questions, does not make eye contact longer than necessary. Stay useful. Do not give him a reason to change his mind. But Crawford is consistent. Every day, the same routine. Work, eat together, take food home. And every day, Crawford talks to him just small things at first. About the weather, about the work. Simple German phrases Crawford is learning, laughing at his own terrible pronunciation. Stories about Kentucky that make no sense to Klaus, something called bluegrass, and horses running in circles for sport. Klaus starts arriving earlier, staying later. He learns the routine so well that Crawford can step away and trust Klaus to continue the work. He learns to anticipate what is needed, ingredients pulled out before Crawford asks, utensils cleaned and ready, stations prepped for the day's cooking. He starts asking questions, careful ones at first. "What is this?" pointing to an unfamiliar vegetable. "How do you make this?" watching Crawford prepare dishes Klaus has never seen. Crawford answers every question with patience, often supplementing his broken German with exaggerated pantomime that makes Klaus crack his first genuine smile in over a year. For 2 weeks, Klaus returned every morning. Then one day, a sergeant stormed into the kitchen. Another soldier enters while they are working, a tall man with sergeant's stripes who starts speaking rapidly in English, gesturing at Klaus. Klaus goes rigid. This is it. Someone noticed. Someone complained. The sergeant's voice rises. Crawford's voice rises to meet it. They are arguing. Klaus can tell from the tone, even though he cannot understand the words. The sergeant points at the door. Crawford steps between Klaus and the sergeant, his body forming a barrier. Finally, the sergeant throws up his hands and storms out. Crawford turns to Klaus, his face flushed. You okay? He struggles for words in German. He says rules. I say. He makes a dismissive gesture. You stay. You work here. Okay? You. Klaus's voice is tiny. You fought for me? Crawford looks surprised by the question. Of course, you are a good worker. You, good kid. Something cracks in Klaus's chest. He is 12 years old. He has survived a war. He has watched his city burn. He has stolen to keep his sister alive, and now an American soldier is calling him a good kid and defending him against his own sergeant. Everything they told me was a lie. The realization hits him all at once. Like the moment the firebomb hit his building, that same sense of his world shattering and reshaping into something unrecognizable. Crawford mistakes his silence for fear. Hey, it is okay. You are safe here, I promise, okay? Okay, Klaus whispers. Klaus would later say the sergeant's visit was the moment he stopped being afraid. But that morning, standing in that kitchen with Crawford's hand on his shoulder, he felt something he had not felt since before his father died. Safe. One morning in early May, a group of German men, former soldiers, Klaus recognizes them by their bearing, even in civilian clothes, stand outside the depot fence, calling out insults, "Traitor boy! American pet! You betray your people for scraps!" Klaus feels shame burn in his stomach. But Crawford's hand lands on his shoulder. They are wrong, Crawford says firmly. You are not a traitor. You survive. You help your family. That is not shame. That is brave. But listen. Crawford crouches down to Klaus's eye level. War over. Germany lost. I am not happy about war. You are not happy about war. But war over now. Now we. He struggles for the word, then makes a building motion with his hands. Now we build again. Together. Yes? They say Americans are... Klaus catches himself. The words from his training are still there, trying to surface. Americans are gangsters. Americans are Jewish puppets. Americans are... Say what? Crawford prompts gently. Klaus shakes his head. Nothing. They are wrong. They. He takes a breath. You are not what they say. Crawford's smile is sad. We are not all good. Some American soldiers, He makes a gesture Klaus interprets as not kind. Some are bad, some are good. Like all people. Like Germans, some are bad, some are good. Yes? It is the simplest thing anyone has ever said to Klaus, and it unravels everything. Some are good, some are bad. Like all people. Not monsters. Not demons. Not a monolithic force of evil descending on Germany to destroy it. Just people. Crawford's friend taught Klaus English during lunch breaks. Klaus was hungry for it, desperate to understand. He was good at it too, his young brain absorbing the new language faster than Crawford could believe. In late May, Crawford brings forms applications for the German youth school the occupation authorities have established. He has already filled out most of it. You work morning, go school afternoon. I talk to your mother, explain, okay? But school important, Crawford insists. You smart, you need education. Cannot work kitchen forever, must have future. Klaus's eyes sting. You want me to leave? No! Crawford looks horrified. No, I want you to have good life, big life, better than. He gestures at the kitchen, the depot, the ruins outside. Better than this. That night, Klaus tells his mother everything. About the stealing, about Crawford, about the job, about the school forms. He expects anger for lying, for putting himself at risk, for working for the occupiers. Instead, Anna Fischer weeps. She pulls Klaus into her arms. She is so thin now, he can feel every bone and whispers, Danky got. Danky got. The next morning, she comes with him to meet Crawford. She is wearing her best dress, patched and faded, but clean. She has combed her hair. She is trying to have dignity in front of the American who has been feeding her children. Crawford shakes her hand formally, speaks slowly in his broken German. Your son, very good worker. Very smart. You have good boy. Anna's voice shakes. I cannot pay you. I have nothing to... No pay needed. Crawford interrupts gently. He work. I feed. That is pay. And... He holds out a larger bag than usual, filled with rations, flour, sugar, canned milk, coffee. For you, for your family. Anna takes the bag with trembling hands. Then, before Crawford can react, she kisses his hand, a gesture of profound gratitude Klaus has only seen in church. Bit, she whispers. Bit, danky. Thank you. Thank you. Crawford's eyes are wet. He carefully extricates his hand and instead offers a handshake firm, respectful, between equals. You welcome, he says. Your son, he good boy. He make you proud. Walking home, Anna holds Klaus's hand, something she has not done since he was small. This man, she says quietly, this American, he is a good man. Yes, Klaus agrees. They lied to us about everything. Yes. She stops walking, looks at him directly. You must remember this, Klaus. You must remember that when they tell you someone is your enemy, when they tell you to hate people you have never met, when they tell you the world is simple and clear, they are lying. Do you understand? Klaus nods. I understand, Mama. Good. She squeezes his hand. Now you take this gift, this job, this food, this chance to go to school again, and you use it. You build a good life. A life that would make your father proud. I will, Klaus promises. I will. Crawford rotated home in August 1946. Klaus did not know it was his last day until Crawford told him that morning, his face carefully neutral. I go back to America tomorrow. Back to my wife. My son. But you. He gestured at Klaus, at the kitchen where Klaus now worked with confidence, at the school books Klaus brought to read during slow periods. You continue. You strong now. You have future. Klaus wanted to cry, but was 12 and trying to be a man. His English was better now, but still halting. I not forget. You save my life. My family's life. Crawford shook his head firmly. No, you save your life. You brave enough to come back that second day. You brave enough to trust. He struggled for words. I just try to be kind. That all. He pulled out an envelope. Inside was a letter of recommendation, written in careful English, describing Klaus as a reliable, hard-working, intelligent young man suitable for any future employment. At the bottom was Crawford's address in Kentucky. You write me, Crawford said. Tell me when you finish school. Tell me about your life, okay? Okay, Klaus whispered. They shook hands, the same formal handshake Crawford had given Klaus's mother, between equals. Remember Crawford's photograph of Tommy? That photo would travel back to Kentucky with Klaus 43 years later. Klaus Fischer attended the occupation school, then technical college. He became an electrical engineer, working on the reconstruction of Frankfurt's infrastructure. In 1952, he wrote his first letter to Crawford, telling him about his graduation, about Greta starting school herself, about his mother, who was healthy again, working as a seamstress. Crawford wrote back with a photograph. Him and Tommy, both smiling. Tommy now a teenager. I told him about you, Crawford wrote. About the brave boy who came back even when he was afraid. He wants to meet you someday. They corresponded for 47 years. Klaus visited Kentucky once in 1989, bringing his own 2 daughters to meet the man who had changed his life. Crawford was gray-haired now, retired, but he had never stopped cooking. He made Klaus and his daughters the same stew he had made that first day, thick with meat and vegetables, served with fresh bread. Still best food I ever taste, Klaus told him, and they had both laughed. When Crawford died in 1993, Klaus flew back to Kentucky for the funeral. He stood before the gathered family and friends, most of them strangers, and told them about a night in 1946 when a hungry boy tried to steal bread and found something more valuable than food. He gave me back my humanity, Klaus said, his English now fluent but still carrying the accent of his youth. When everything I had been taught was cruelty, when I expected punishment, he gave me dignity, he gave me work, he gave me hope. He did not see a German child, an enemy child. He saw a hungry boy, and he fed him. This one man's kindness, this one man's kindness. Tommy Crawford gray-haired himself now. Klaus's age embraced him after the service. Dad told me stories about you my whole life. He said you taught him something too, that kindness is not just about grand gestures. Sometimes it is just about seeing someone who is hungry and sharing your bread. Klaus returned to Germany and spent the next decade giving talks at schools about the occupation period, about reconciliation, about the importance of seeing humanity in people you have been taught to fear. I was taught that Americans were monsters, he would tell students. And then I met one American soldier, and everything I had been taught fell apart, not because he made speeches about peace, because he was kind when he had every reason not to be. Klaus Fischer died in 2016 at the age of 82. His obituary mentioned his work as an engineer, his family, his contributions to German-American friendship societies. But in his desk, his daughters found a box containing every letter Crawford had sent him, the photograph of Tommy from that first day in the kitchen, and a piece of paper worn soft from folding and unfolding. It was Crawford's letter of recommendation, written in careful English in 1946. At the bottom, in faded pencil, Klaus had written in German, "The day I learned that kindness is stronger than hate." His daughters donated the collection to the German Historical Museum in Berlin, where it is now part of an exhibition on the post-war period. School children stand in front of the display, reading the letters, looking at the photographs, learning about a boy who stole bread and a soldier who chose compassion. The final letter in the collection, written by Klaus to Crawford's widow after Crawford's death, contains one line that museum curators often quote, "Your husband taught me that we are not defined by who we are told to hate, but by who we choose to help. This is the only lesson worth teaching, the only legacy worth leaving. Tell your children, tell your grandchildren, when you see someone hungry, feed them. When you see someone afraid, comfort them. When you see someone who expects cruelty, give them kindness instead." This is how we build a better world, not with grand declarations, but with one person, one moment, one choice at a time. The bread Klaus stole that night in 1946 cost maybe 20 cents in American money. The life it led to was beyond price. Appreciate you watching. Hope you learned something cool today. Hit that like button, share it with friends, and I will see you in the next video.